Okay, so in this video we're going to talk about content setup in our first post. So there's different types of content that you could set up. Basically lists, picture lists, and then articles that are kind of like have a shock factor of how I was able to do blank by blank. So for example, how I was able to trim my waist size by doing something crazy or something like that. And popular Google AdWords keyword title. So basically if there's a keyword that's very popular in Google AdWords, you could use that keyword, and we'll go over that. So the focus keyword is basically what I was just talking about. Basically if you have a good focus keyword, so for example, if you have an article titled how to lose 15 pounds in 2 weeks, that's your focus keyword could be how to lose 15 pounds in 2 weeks. It's probably going to be somewhat competitive, actually probably really competitive, but it's always good to have a focus keyword. And the more long tail you make it, meaning the longer it is, the easier it is to rank for. So over time that could definitely lead to more traffic. You always want to try to have a focus keyword, especially since we're going to be optimizing our articles with on-site optimization later on. But basically it can lead to passive traffic Google over time. The main focus of your article for the clarity to the reader. So you're telling the reader, making sure that they know what the article is about. And you want to use a keyword density of around 0.5%. So if a 1,000-word article, you want to use the focus keyword 5 to 10 times. And then you want to use royalty-free photos wherever possible for the blog posts. Because the more photos you have, you can optimize the photos for search traffic as well, which could lead to more traffic from the photos, and it also can help boost your rankings overall in Google. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to get a focus keyword and how to set that up. From there, how to basically either outsource or write your first article. Okay, so I'm in my Google AdWords right now. And basically what I want to do is I want to go to Keyword Planner. And if you don't have a Google AdWords, it takes just a couple seconds to sign up for. Basically you come down and you go to search for a new keyword. So for example, if we do women's fashion, okay, so we can see that the suggested bid is actually, they're really not that high in this niche. So what that tells us is there's not a ton of money in this niche, depending on what the keyword is. Oh, what's going on? Come on. Sorry about that. So if you come down to the suggested bid and you make it so you look at the highest one, anything using these keywords has a higher chance of making you more money, because Google AdSense, which is where we're going to be making money, is very similar to Google AdWords. They're basically opposites. So people advertise for certain keywords on Google AdWords, and the bid is high for certain keywords. When you advertise on your site, if your article has the keyword fashion designer in it, most likely the ads that are going to be served to your site through Google AdSense will be about fashion designers. So anyone who clicks on it gives you a much higher payout per click than if you had the keyword women's dresses or something that was even lower than 227. So that's basically how it works. And so we could literally write a post about being a fashion designer. So maybe we could have a post entitled so we could do 3 ways to look easy outfits can put together without being a fashion designer. So that could be our title. Focus keyword can be fashion designer. Okay, so that could be for our first article. All right, so that's kind of how you go about doing this, and you don't have to do the Google AdWords thing. It's just recommended to get a feel for what keywords are giving you the higher payout, because it'll increase your profits from your site. So I hope that makes sense. And now what we're quickly going to do is we're going to talk about the 2 ways that you could create the article. There's one else thing I want to touch on, which is content schedule. But basically, the two ways you want to create your article is write it yourself or hire someone to write it. Okay? So if you're writing it yourself, now all you need to do is do some research on becoming a fashion designer. Okay? Or easy outfits you can put together without becoming a fashion designer. So what I would do in that case is I'd go to Google and I'd search this exact keyword, okay, this exact title, easy outfits for women, and you could just start researching and put together an article. Ideal article length is 500 to 2,000 words. 700 to 1,000 probably ideal. Because you could spit out more articles and they're still long enough that eventually you could get some Google juice. So you can actually even do less. You can actually do 500. I wouldn't go much lower than 500. But if you want to spit out the most possible articles, which are basically each article with ads is like a different money earning page for you, the more you can spit out, the lower the articles. But don't go less than 500 because it starts jeopardizing quality. So these are just some general guidelines for the article. Add pictures where you can, which we already kind of discussed. And we're going to be putting it all together, obviously, so I'm going to show you how to do that. And then content schedule, how often will you be able to write the content? I recommend no less than 1 article per week. But if you can keep up more, you can do more. If you outsource, you can probably do dozens of articles a week depending on your budget. Or, you know, if you really don't have the time, 1 article per month or 1 article every 2 weeks is fine if you want to write 500 words every 2 weeks. But basically that's how it's going to work as far as setting all that up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to quickly take you to a website where you can outsource your stuff if you don't want to write it yourself. So let's do that. Sorry. So now I'm in iWriter, which is actually one of the websites I'm going to recommend for getting content. Another website is actually Upwork, where you could just hire freelancers. I'm not going to go into details on how to set that up. They have a lot of tutorials. The main focus I'm going to do here is for iWriter, just so you have a feel for what I personally do for my content. So what you do is once you're inside iWriter, you go to Get Content, have articles written, project, select a category. So for ours, it's women's fashion. Or fashion. So let's look for fashion. Okay, so title is what we wrote on our notepad. So this, we could do 500 words if we want. I recommend premium because it's a slightly higher quality piece. Costs $5.50, and the keyword is fashion designer, if you remember. Now, I like to include some additional, so article is, I usually just take the title, put that back down there. Now for special instructions, I usually like to include a couple things. So keyword density, designer, 0.5%, include royalty-free image links and where to put them, use and any other free royalty-free image sites you know. And basically you can have them you know, link to sources you get your information from. All rules must be followed or you will be rejected. I try to put this in big letters because you'd be surprised how many of these writers don't read the directions. The good news is you don't have to pay for anything written by someone you don't want. So you get to review the article before you pay for anything. And eventually you can write to a specific list of writers that you really like. And that's how you go about ordering it. Now you just press submit project. You have to make sure you add money. I still have a little bit of a balance in here. And that's how you do it on iWriter. That's how you go about ordering your first article.